Lucky Boys Podcast.
So for Run to Chinatown, we're raising money through GoFundMe. So how are you guys raising funds?
Yeah, so right now, like Hong Mai said earlier, our biggest initiative that we're fundraising for is the Longevity Fund. That's our grant program where we're distributing $5,000 microloans to 40 different Chinatown businesses. It's the only grant program that is exclusive for Chinatown's small businesses. We are so grateful that Leland is doing Run for Chinatown and just donating some of those funds to the Longevity Fund. If you want to donate, you can check out our website. We're at welcometochinatown.com, and you can make a donation there, or you can also donate directly to Leland's page. He is with every mile he runs, you are pledging $1. So in the instance of last time when he did this 12-hour run, he ran 61 miles. So that was $61 that people were pledging. Other ways that you can support, we have our Made in Chinatown merchandise collection. Show your support for your favorite Chinatown.
Those tote bags are awesome.
I know.
Tote life, totally.
And you can find that either on madeinchinatownny.com, or we also have a special collection with Pearl River Mart that features Hop Key, Lonzo, and Jingfong. Yes.
Oh, so those products are actually stocked there, and then people can go in, and the proceeds from the sales
go
of those
to
products.
those businesses.
Wow, incredible.
Yeah. And it's just been like, that's one of the programs that excites me the most, because even if you are on the other side of the country or other side of the world, do we do international shipping? Maybe I shouldn't say that. I don't know if we do or not. That's a way that you can show your support. And the holidays are approaching.
Yep.
Makes a great holiday gift. I don't know if anybody in my family will see this, but you are all getting Made in Chinatown stuff for Christmas this year.
Your family in Texas.
Probably not in time, but
yeah, in Texas. Yeah.
And then other ways to help is also, if any of our friends listening are working at corporate companies, a lot of companies do corporate matching, and a lot of our donations that come in actually have gone through that. So we're very thankful for those individuals that have taken the initiative to ask their company to add Welcome to Chinatown as a receiving organization, and all the donations are tax deductible. So it is still very much approved by corporates, and so asking your companies is also a big help for us.
Use that corporate money.
Use that corporate blood money. I'm just kidding. And then, just through the purchases in Made in Chinatown. And then honestly, we also do some, like we do In the Mood for Food, which is the Chinatown block crawl. So if you ever want to volunteer and help us out there, just reach out, slide into our DM, guys.
Yes. And we'll leave all of your information in the description for both wherever you listen to our podcast on audio, and if you're watching on YouTube, it'll be there. You guys can check what Welcome to Chinatown is doing and how to get involved and how to slide in their DMs.
Amazing stuff.
That said, you're from Texas.
You're from
Maryland. You're from Texas.
Yeah.
I told you earlier that I was actually looking at Texas as a place to move to potentially.
Yeah.
What's it like? What's it like?
Texas is great. So I'm from Houston. Grew up in Houston. I went to school at Austin at the University of Texas. This is like why it's so complicated for me to live here in New York, because I love both places, but for very different reasons. And so the idea of like me also thinking about, relocating one day, moving back to Texas, it's hard because it's like there's all this stuff about New York, and especially in Chinatown, obviously, that I love and would be very hard to part with. And there's also so many amazing things about Texas. And I think the biggest misconception is like the diversity in the state. It's still fairly conservative, especially in some parts of the state. But when you get into the metropolitan cities, Dallas, Fort Worth, Austin, Houston, you are in areas where diversity really is celebrated. Thriving Asian communities in all of those metropolitan cities. It's a great place to grow up.
I hear that Texas is very family, where people are extremely friendly and inclusive.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Oh, yeah. So I'll tell you a quick story where when my husband and I first started dating, we were long distance. So I was still in school in Austin. He was here in New York. We were grocery shopping at HEB. Shout out to HEB, best grocery store. in the world.
What what?
HEB.
HEB. Oh, HEB. Yeah. Okay.
So we were
Hub.
it's don't call it.
She's so mad right now.
I'm a New Yorker, so you know.
It's a way that like upstate New Yorkers love Wegmans.
Yes.
Is how Texans
Love
love
Wegmans.
Wegmans is great.
Is how Texans love HEB. So we were grocery shopping at HEB, and the cashier woman said, "Hi, how are y'all doing today?" And Wilson was so freaked out by that because why is my cashier asking how I'm doing? Like, you know, in New York,
And where they're really asking how you're doing.
they
it's-
genuinely want to know.
Yeah.
Right. And so he was like, what?
What you know about what you who you with?
Yeah.
What do you want to know about me?
Why do you care? What's it to you?
So it wasn't like a exclamation, like a announcement. It was just like, oh, she was actually waiting for him to say something, like
Yeah.
response.
Yeah. Like
Like
I
she
get
was
it,
trying
yeah.
to get, she was trying to get to know
conversation,
him.
You know, cordial conversation. And
That's
I love
suburb
that.
life.
really
I love
freaked him
that.
out. But, you know.
Genuinely interested in other people. Yeah, I think.
Yeah. And so, you know, you like it's common to have a conversation with your cashier person when you're checking out. And that was so foreign to him, you know, as a born and bred New Yorker. It's a great place to raise a family. Like I loved it because in Houston, you know, so it's interesting because I did grow up in a predominantly white neighborhood. So there are parts of my identity where it felt confusing about whether I was too Asian or too American, you know, that whole thing. However, there are pockets of community as well where there is representation and diversity, and it feels inclusive. And so our Chinatown is more like an Asia town because we had a huge Vietnamese immigration pattern into Houston. The Vietnamese food in Houston, by the way, is like
I hear
Some-
and I love Vietnamese food.
Okay, I'm
Rep,
going to ask
rep,
a controversial
rep.
question.
Don't do it.
Do it.
Vietnamese pho, better here or Houston?
Houston.
Bro, hands down.
Houston.
Well, I've never been to Houston, so I don't know.
The New York pho is really not that great.
Oh.
I'm
Bro,
sorry.
Cali pho's better than New
Yeah.
York.
Really?
Yeah.
If you ever go to Virginia in Annandale and Eden
Okay.
Center,
Aden.
Aden, as our Vietnamese, my brother, my
I
Vietnamese.
guess I'm missing out. I've
Yep.
never been anywhere.
Yeah. No, definitely go to Houston for all the wide variety of ethnic cuisine because we have a huge Vietnamese population, huge Indian population, Polish. There's actually been a
Wow,
lot of
Polish. Wow.
Yeah, that one was really random.
And all those foods are excellent.
so good. So good. And so when you go to different areas of the city, it's great. And then you have the suburbs too, which is great for raising a family.
Jen's a big foodie, so I'm going to take her advice on the food stuff. Yeah.
We do have to go to Houston to eat pho together.
So,
one day.
so is you're talking about these ethnic communities, and are they like close together, or like how in New York you can actually travel to these different communities and
Yeah.
try their cuisines?
Yeah, there's clusters, but also Houston has very weird zoning laws too. So you can have, this is a terrible example, but like you can have like a strip club next to.
It's
like
not near like a abandoned warehouse district or something.
Yeah. But you know, the zoning laws in Houston.
So next to a daycare center, there's a strip club.
Yeah, but maybe not. Oh God, I hope not to that extreme.
There might be, you know.
But
strippers have kids too, guys. Stop it.
Yeah, makes
Don't
it
knock the
easier for
hustle.
them. Makes it easier for them to go to work, right? It
No.
makes it easier for
Exactly.
commute.
You got to think about everybody. Guys.
I'm steering away. I regret bringing up the strip clubs.
Wait, you have to finish the sentence. I'm honestly curious. What are the zoning laws like?
You basically you have, you know, different, all sorts of different businesses in clusters. So that what that also means is you can find a wide variety of, you know, you can get your grocery shopping, your whatever regular shopping, your services and all that in different pockets of area. And so yeah, you do have clusters defined by race or culture or ethnicity, whatever it may be, throughout the city. But Houston is so unique in that all that diversity is very much celebrated, which I think people find surprising given that we are in Texas.
Yeah.
And I feel like you missed the most important part.
What?
There's no income tax in Texas.
Oh yeah, there's no state income tax.
That's right.
Yeah.
Especially
That's
for me
right.
coming to New York, when I saw the New
Yeah.
York City tax on top of the New York State tax,
Man,
I was like,
I remember
what
the
is
first time I got my paycheck
Oh.
when I first moved to the city.
my heart?
Yeah, and
Like, what the hell is
I was
NYS
like,
tips?
yeah, I was like, why is there another line for New York tax? I don't get it. I actually thought it was a mistake. And Rachel's like, no, that's right.
and I work in PR, right? And so here I was, like, fresh out of college, working this entry level PR agency job so I'm making not a lot. Specifically, I think I don't remember what it was,
Not a
somewhere in
lot,
the
it's fine.
30,000.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I just like looked at my paycheck and I was like, what?
Peanuts.
Why is that not for me? Why is that line item of the New York State tax? Why is that not for me? But you don't have that in Texas, which is another great selling point. Thank you for reminding me of that.
Now you have to
That's-
drive everywhere, though, right?
We do have to drive everywhere.
But that's
There's no public
why-
transportation.
Yeah, that's
is
why I
that,
asked
is that
about
pretty limited?
Yeah,
access.
the access to public transportation isn't great, so a car is encouraged and is the easiest way to get around. But I think I miss driving myself around, especially living in the city, having to schlep everything everywhere. My back hurts all the time, you know. And you have to be very strategic about the way that you shop in New York City versus in Texas or Maryland. You can just hop in your car and go wherever you want, throw everything in your trunk, and it's fine.
Yeah.
Do you know how to drive?
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
I-
Yeah.
I drive stick shift.
Really?
Oh, dying breed.
You are, yeah. That's
When I was
impressive.
growing up, they were like, in order to be a man, you need to know two things.
Oh, that masculinity
That
getting you.
masculinity thing. You need to know your suit size.
I'm loving
And you
the
need to know how to
impression.
drive
Please keep it going. Please only talk like this the rest of the podcast. That's all I want.
My wife hates my impressions. She's like, Will, don't do any impressions on the podcast. Every time you do it, I cringe. It's like, thanks, babe.
Love you too.
Yeah, can always
You
count on
drive
that.
stick shift.
That-
She is my backbone. Yeah, I love driving stick shift. I love it. I feel connected to the car because I control everything.
Yeah.
So it's not a computer making decisions for me. It's me making the decisions. And I love it.
You feel
Just
more in control that way.
way more engaged.
Yeah.
I feel
yeah.
like I'm driving. Literally, I'm driving.
Yeah.
It sucks in traffic. New York
Yes.
City.
Yeah,
Oh my
I was
God.
going to say.
Stick in-
It's so bad. My
I
left
can't
foot starts
imagine.
shaking because of the clutch, and I'm just like, oh.
Wait, are you still driving stick as your own? Do you only have a stick shift car? Right now?
Well, I have kids, so
Yeah.
I have one that's I have SUVs.
Okay, I was gonna say, do you have like the Odyssey, the Honda Odyssey?
No,
Everyone?
man.
That's like the
He's
family.
a cool
van.
dad.
Sorry,
Okay.
he's a cool dad. I'm sorry.
Actually-
Wait, did you guys see Hassan Minaj?
Yeah.
Hassan Minaj. Sorry, who bought he
the
bought an
Honda
Odyssey.
Odyssey.
You did?
And he really
Yeah.
repped it. Like he took a picture on Instagram and was like, I'm
Yeah.
a cool dad. And he
I
was
was
like,
just
this
gonna
isn't
say
even
that.
he was like, this isn't even sponsored.
One of my
He wrote in the
He wrote
Instagram
something
caption.
like that.
He was like, I'm not sponsoring this.
one of my childhood friends, we were staying at AC for the weekend, and he goes, Will, I got a hotel because he gets like hotels for free because he's a gambler or whatever. And so they invite him. They're like, hey, why don't you come and
Yeah,
lose
yeah.
some more money over here? Here's a free hotel
Great
and
friend.
buffet. So no, yeah, he was like, Will, you want to stay at my hotel, this and that? And I was just like, well, I gotta bring the wife and everything. And he was just like, yeah. I was like, I don't really want to drive. He goes, I got you. I'll come pick you up.
Wow.
Pulled up in the Honda Odyssey. Dead ass Honda Odyssey. I'm like, damn, okay. Now he had it set up nice though. We're sitting in the back. I was thinking like it's gonna like suck, right? But he had captain's chair, so I had my
Wow.
own.
They make those
Like,
minivans nice
Seriously,
now.
I had a cooler on the side.
Oh, that's a 5-star
cooler.
Uber rating right now, man.
Yeah, I was like, yo,
Was it built-in cooler? Or was it?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
I want to see
Like
a
a
decked out
built-in
on-
cooler
I'm gonna
in the Odyssey he had, and it was just so. And I'm 6'3", so there was just like
Some
killer
leg
leg
room?
space.
Yeah.
I never had to go like because I'm always constantly negotiating with the person sitting
Right.
shotgun.
Yeah.
Like, hey, Will, you good? Like, nah, can you move up a little more? Yeah, no, but this part. So I didn't have to do any of that. It was so awesome, and it was a comfortable ride. So and the doors, I didn't have to open the door. He goes, Will, I got you. He hit a door and it just.
Wow.
No, this is also not a
was like-
sponsored podcast. From the Honda Odyssey.
You heard it here first, though. Minivans are going to make a comeback.
Yeah, and I strongly consider it. I'm not even gonna lie.
If you move
I had
to
a moment of
Texas,
weakness.
you are probably going to get a minivan.
I would probably get an electric.
SUVs
I would go
are the big
electric.
thing there, right?
Huh?
What?
SUVs
No,
are the big thing.
SUVs are the big thing in Texas.
Yeah, a lot of people drive. Well, a
Or
lot of people
trucks?
buy trucks.
Yeah, trucks,
Yeah.
They drive trucks. Yeah, so that was very
I don't understand pickup trucks if you're not like construction.
Yeah,
like if you're not doing like home improvement. You know what I mean? Like, what do you need a pickup bed?
There were like when
In
we
case for the end of the world,
I know, right?
I will never get it.
to hold
But-
all the guns.
I
It was
guess.
so weird. Like I had kids in my high school who got pickup trucks as their
presents.
16th birthday
Yep,
present.
there was a lot of that.
They love their pick. It was weird.
Is it like a yeehaw kind of thing, or
You know. Yes, we're gonna coin that now. As a yeehaw kind of
As a
thing.
yeehaw thing.
No, I think it is very much part of like
yeah,
Texas truck
Yeah.
country culture.
yeah.
And you know, people did. We have the rodeo every year. People love country music. I don't myself. Well, actually, no. I've learned to enjoy.
Hey, I started listening to country.
It's
There's
good.
nothing wrong with country, guys.
yeah,
I
no, it's
like it.
good.
I like some country music.
Yeah.
I have a Spotify playlist just all country.
Yeah.
that I like.
Is Florida Georgia line
Yes.
considered country? Okay.
I
They
think
are
so.
country.
They are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kane
I
Brown.
like them. I like them.
Kane Brown. Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. they
Kane
are.
Brown's dope.
Yeah.
Kane Brown's like hip hop country.
Yeah,
kinda.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I was shocked. I was.
He put
when
some
I-
swag in that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was like, oh,
Can we talk about Lil Nas X with his
Yeah.
comeback?
oh
of
my
Hol-
god, best
Our
song
favorite
ever.
Comeback.
song. Yeah.
Best song ever. Wait, but not comeback. It was just continuing.
Okay, just
He's
he hasn't had a
relatively new.
hit since Old Town.
Which was like what, like 5 months ago? It's like, I'm just
No,
I
that
don't
was
know.
was
2 years
longer.
ago.
A year ago, 2 years.
I
Wow.
think it was it 2? I don't know.
Time has.
Anyway, would you get you would get a SUV, you would not get a minivan ever.
I wouldn't say ever. I'm not.
Think about the soccer
But
games,
right
though.
now in my life,
Yeah.
no, I wouldn't. I
Yeah,
wouldn't.
I know.
Because there's just
Yeah.
so many other cars that I would
Yeah,
prefer
that's true.
that would have all that space and then
Yeah.
some that are just way cooler and fun.
So you're thinking about potentially moving to Texas.
Down the line, I was actually pretty close a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
It was between that or the West Coast, and now because of COVID and everything, just decelerated my plans actually. Whereas
Right.
for some it accelerated.
Right.
It made me stay where I am
Right.
in
Yeah.
in a metropolitan area, but later down the line, it's what it was, and I every time I go to a new place, I'm like, ooh, I could, like when I went to Vietnam, I was like, I could live here. Like every time I go on vacation somewhere, I'm like, this is nice. This is nice. I like it. I got
Potential.
vacation brain.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I'm YOLO with my money when I'm on vacation. I'm just like, yeah,
live like this
life
every
is
day.
amazing. Massages, spa, food, like this is
Great.
look, shopping. So it's so life feels amazing, and,
Yeah.
and then and everything's new for the first time.
Yeah.
And that's amazing when you're experiencing something new for the first time again, and it romanticizes everything. So I wanted to take my time. I didn't, because it's not. If it was just me, I
Probably
leave.
just, like,
Oh
pick
yeah,
up
I would have been lived in Hawaii, LA, Texas.
Yeah.
Do you think you'd still be contributing to the Chinatown community though, regardless of where you are? Because we had that. We've had that talk about.
If there was a
this
call to
generation.
action,
Yeah.
absolutely. This is my roots. If there was
Yeah.
a call to action, and if I had the means and the resources, and someone said, "Will, we need you,"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Superhero power time.
I'm here. I'll be on the next flight.
Yeah.
I'll be on the next flight. I'm not shy to do that. I mean, I love, no, I would imagine that if I'm in Texas, I would look for any excuse to come back home.
Yeah.
Just to see my friends and taste the food and smell the air.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's pretty crucial also, just like tying it all back together really, is making sure that even if you grow out of this community, not, you know what I mean? Like if you move away from it, you're still contributing back to it
Yeah.
in some way or
100%.
Right.
yeah.
I mean, because it's always in your heart, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
it is. This is where I built my adult life. I came here after college and I built my family. We're sister-in-laws. I don't think we mentioned that earlier.
We didn't need to, it's fine.
But yeah. Are you embarrassed?
She's
Jeez.
like, you didn't have to tell the world.
But I've built my family here. I built my friends and my close circle of friends here. And the idea of leaving it is hard, especially when you've built routines and traditions. And we go to wall hop so much, and I will never get sick of it.
My dad loves wall hop.
It's the best.
It's this
Every
runny
time we have
egg
family
squid
gathering,
rice.
It's still good
he's like,
after
"Let's go
midnight?
there."
Yeah. Well, in COVID times.
I mean, yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
pre-COVID.
but actually,
late night snacks.
we didn't talk about this when we started Welcome to Chinatown. The idea came from us sitting at Wall Hop we're celebrating your birthday at Whiskey Tavern, which is our go-to bar.
Yeah.
And then we usually go to Wall Hop afterwards to
Yeah.
grab a bite. And it's a Friday night. We were the only table there.
And that's
wow.
like
It was
rare.
crazy. And so we were like, wow, this
What?
shit
That's
is getting
crazy.
yeah.
Yeah.
And like a couple days later, you know, Vic posted something on her Instagram of, I want to do something to help Chinatown. Is anybody interested? And that's how we started getting to talking about, Vic was with us at Wall Hop that night. We were talking about how crazy it was that nobody else was there.
Yeah.
Friday night. This is
That's
March.
unheard of, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like right before, this was the week before the offices started to shut down in
Like
New
the
York City.
requirements to close
Oh,
down.
okay,
Yeah. Like
yeah.
the mandatory.
Yeah, it was eerily quiet.
So
Yeah.
quiet. Yeah. And so, you know, that for us was like, what is going on? You know? So yeah, Wall Hop would be very hard to leave. But also very good Chinese food in Texas. One more plug for Texas.
Yeah. Wow. Is it safe? Is Houston safe? Just recently on the news, they found 30 people that were smuggled in, and some guy
In Texas?
in Texas, in Houston.
Yeah.
This is human
And-
smuggling.
Yeah, human
Yeah,
trafficking.
Human
trafficking.
Human-
I hear it's big in Houston. It was a major
Oh, that's
gateway.
scary.
I think it might,
yeah.
that is the downside, is I think it might be like the #1 city for human trafficking
Right.
in
Right.
America. For a multitude of terrible, there's a couple nonprofits. I watched some documentaries about these organizations that work to, especially women who are being trafficked. Did I say that correctly? I hope I did. And helping them get out of those situations. So yeah, I would say it's relatively safe. You know, I grew up in part of the suburbs of Houston, so there's kind of that too. But even if you're going into with what we call within the loop,
What's that mean?
it's like Beltway 8 is a big loop around the city, and if you are in the loop, that's considered
Inner city.
no, it's like Houston proper. It's like where all the major neighborhoods are that you would frequent for just about everything, like the malls and restaurants, all that. But yeah, anywhere you go, you know, it's safe. People look out for each other, you know, all that good stuff.
Yeah, when I was watching the news, they said it wasn't even. I was expecting women, right, or underage girls, and it was like I think 29 men,
That's what we're.
and they were in their boxers or
Why?
underwear.
Wow.
So one of the guys got loose and escaped,
Oh my
and
God.
he's banging on all the doors. It was in the suburbs too, and he's banging on all the doors, and he's going, "Let me." I think he was Mexican, so he's trying to speak Spanish and
Yeah.
telling people, "Help, help, help! Call the police."
Oh,
and
no.
Wow.
They got us or whatever, and then eventually someone took their time out to help him. So he was banging. He was going from house to house.
That's
Yeah. Because you normally wouldn't open a
And
door
it was
for
freezing
someone. Yeah.
for
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, but it was cold weather that evening, and when I saw the news footage, it was just a bunch of dudes in their underwear,
Wow.
and the community. Here's what I found amazing. The community in the neighborhood collected clothes, and they went to where
my
these people were
gosh.
being held, and food, and they clothed them and gave them food.
Wow.
And that made me go, dang, Texas people are dope.
Very hospitable. Yeah.
Yes.
No, very, very hospitable people. You know, you will always have a cashier asking you how your day is, no matter how freaked out you are or not.
Now, how long does it take for a cup of coffee? Because when I went out to, I'm not going to mention the city, but holy cow, I was the only person, and it took them like 5 minutes,
There-
and I'm there like,
That
hello, I'm the only customer here.
Yeah.
Was it the best cup of coffee you ever had?
It was good, but it took so
took some
long.
time.
I mean,
Just to
feel
put
like
some love in it.
And I'm because in New York,
yeah,
you know,
it's like
quick.
go, go, go.
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
it.
You will find that
The slower pace.
the slower pace is the way of life, and there's no, you know, it was really weird the first time one of the first times I went back home shortly after I moved to New York, went back to Houston, and I noticed my pace was significantly faster than everybody else, and I was like, oh no. And so it begins.
are you afraid you will get restless a
Yeah,
little bit when
that
you go back to
is a
Houston? I
big-
feel like that's a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something I think about.
Yeah,
Is like.
I am worried about that.
Yeah.
Like I'm afraid I may slow down too much to my detriment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But then I tried to be optimistic, but I'm like, maybe I'll maybe slowing down is good for me. Maybe I'll find new things out.
Yeah.
You know.
Here's the thing too is I constantly feel the burnout being here in the city because the energy is different. People do work harder. I feel like other like non-New Yorkers can be like, what a piece of shit person for not saying that I don't work hard.
Not what we're getting at. It's just a different energy.
It's a different energy. It's a different pace. And I'm so used to keeping myself busy. That may have been a result of just the environment around me, that I do worry that if I move back to Houston, I'm going to constantly feel restless, or that, those around me are not moving quick enough, which is unfair to them.
Yeah.
Right.
It kind of reminded me for myself to just chill the fuck out.
But and that's not a knock to suburbs or the city. We're just lucky enough that we've experienced both and kind of know like the positives and negatives of each one's really. But
so at this point in your life, you would prefer the city life?
I actually do feel like we chuckle because
we don't know.
We don't know. For both of us, like having grown up in suburban neighborhoods and slower paced towns, and also like trying to think about family planning, it's different to have a kid in the city.
It is,
right?
It is. It's like what you want: space,
right?
Yep.
Or if you're okay with it, and also you have to look at education options.
Yep.
It's pretty limited in the city.
It's also, as females, it's also career options, right?
Yeah.
New York, it really is. If you want to go up, that you do it here. There's a lot more opportunities here, more global roles, and so it's a little. Yeah. You have to take that into consideration too before thinking about moving back to.
And for what you guys do, it brings. Yeah, I mean, New York City, having that on your resume for your industries brings cachet.
Yeah,
So
especially for the type of industries that we work in. The hubs are here. Like all the work is here too. So I've had to think a lot for myself. So stressful. Had to think for myself of like, does that mean I take a career change if I move to Houston?
But you know what? I hear parts of Austin. I think
Austin
that's becoming
a huge tech hub.
Yeah, it's becoming a tech hub. Right?
But that's not Houston. That's still 2 hours away.
Right.
Yeah.
Would you consider going back home, away from home?
So a lot of people ask. I get that question a lot actually, because it would be much easier for me to find a job in Austin, but I think I'd rather be closer to my parents who are still in Houston. Yeah. So it's I don't know. Well, it'll figure itself out.
We'll keep you guys updated.
We'll be on the edge of our seats.
On our life plans, right? Who wouldn't, right?
The reason I ask, like, I think there, not only myself, but there, especially since COVID happened, a lot of people are looking to move into a suburb area. It may not be Texas, but definitely something parallel to it, where it may not be as dense of an area.
Yep.
And they may want things to. With COVID, it kind of made people look inwardly and just reevaluate their lives. And what I found is that there are so many people that said, you know what? Why am I doing this? Why am I at this rat race? I'm not even happy.
Yeah.
I'm competing, but even if I win, I'm still behind.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm just gonna not play this game anymore. It doesn't fulfill me.
Yeah.
I thought it would, but it doesn't. So is it the money? I don't know. I'm out. And I have so many friends that left, and colleagues that have left or got transferred to another part. And it made me think like, oh, should I make my move now too? Should I migrate? And I'm like, nah, I love the city right now. Like I love the city when it's not as dense.
Were you in the city the day that Biden won?
No,
because I
heard it was crazy.
Oh my God, it was like that was the true like such a New York feeling.
Yeah,
like everyone was out with mask on, but like things like moments like that are where you're like the city, like that's the energy of the city, and like you wouldn't get this anywhere else. There was literally like a block party that just popped up out of nowhere for it, right? And like you got people dancing on the streets and things like that, and those are the types of things where I'm just like, damn it, if I was in the suburbs, like
you can't get that.
You wouldn't get that.
You would just be the crazy person walking around the street cheering and clapping to yourself.
Yeah.
And maybe it's because I'm I don't know. I've been in New York. I've seen so many. I've been through so many of those celebrations that I just kind of want to stay away from dense crowd. I don't like crowd. Maybe as I'm getting older, maybe I like the suburb thing. That's why it's appealing to me
I
because
see. I see.
I'm starting to appreciate like the quietness.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
You know?
I very much relate to that. I think like there's something really restorative about being in a quieter, slower paced kind of.
Just go upstate for a weekend. Have fun.
Yeah, I agree. I
do
agree.
that.
It's like
We do.
there's a time and place for
Yeah.
Yeah. What
But I
about,
wouldn't have that 24/7. I'd go
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
yeah.
I'd go
But,
crazy.
but that's what I'm saying. That you
Yeah.
might get that if you go to the suburbs, though, a
Yeah.
little bit,
Yeah.
right? Again, not knocking suburbs, everybody.
Norm, could you ever move to a suburban town, the burbs?
Oh no,
Bensonhurst is not
No.
a verb, by the way. I just want to put that out there right,
Right.
now.
No, I mean I get restless in Bensonhurst, so you have to understand. Like
Yeah.
if I go to an actual suburb, I would not be able to live with myself.
It's like
you know,
I'm talking to Richard right now.
Well, how about when we were in Buffalo? That was kind of suburby where we lived. It was super suburb.
It's a college campus.
I mean,
right?
yeah, it's a
But
community.
we
It's a-
didn't
it's a
live.
different-
We didn't live in the student part of town. We lived like in the white neighborhood part of town in Buffalo. We didn't live in the party area downtown. We lived in
Well,
a nice.
we
upscale.
had people around. I mean, that,
Yeah, it was the house party. Our neighbors hated us. We
Did you guys have a little cul-de-sac going on?
We did.
Yeah, we.
Oh, you did? Oh,
We had our own pool. We had our own. We turned our kitchen into our dining room into a bar, a full scale bar. It was total.
We
it was
built our
party
own
central.
city.
Wow.
Very nice.
It was a huge house, and it was like 3 levels. Was it 4 levels?
Wow.
Three levels.
3. Yeah.
Yeah, and we just have parties, and
3
people
levels.
were partying all different levels. It was so like so. The thing back in the day, where like people hit up the clubs, the frat parties,
Yeah.
the sorority parties, and the clubs. We would have our house parties, and we wouldn't charge people. It's just like, hey,
Yeah,
come
yeah.
in, chill, drink, beer pong, whatever,
Yeah.
mingle, network.
Yeah.
There were other organizations would come up to us like, yo, you mind not throwing your house party the same day we're throwing our party
wow.
because
Y'all
I
had
was
that.
like-
Y'all had a name for
reputation.
yourself.
I said, and what we said to them, I said, like, look, we will respect, we ain't gonna throw the party the same night at a club party if you guys do it. However, we don't want to. But if it's a house party, like, bro, you can't even come. If you have a club and people prefer to go to my house,
That says something about your club
like,
party.
hey, my house party ain't the problem.
I mean, the
You
free
know.
drinks kind of mattered, right? So-
That's true.
That's-
the club drink prices were a little
Oh,
bit brolic.
man. To
That's
think
true.
of, as we were talking about this, and I just like think back to college club party days, especially
Cringe a little.
Yeah, because especially having been in a sorority, an Asian sorority in college, and having to throw club parties for fundraisers or whatever it may be.
Should we do
just
that for
you
Welcome to
guys know about
Chinatown? Should we do that for Welcome to Chinatown?
No.
You want to throw a club?
Wait, let's talk about
Post-
sorority life.
post-pandemic.
What was sorority life like?
So we are part of the same sorority, but different chapters.
Shout out Katie Fi.
Yeah, Katie Fies.
Don't you guys have like a hand symbols where you guys
Please
go,
stop. Don't do that.
I'm not
Don't do this
gonna
right
do
now. Please don't do that right now.
Actually, should I do it? That'd be really funny. No, I will not do it. I actually wonder if our sorority experiences were the same because we went to state schools.
Yeah, because
Right.
we were a little larger.
Yeah, because so the state school experience was awesome, especially in Texas, Maryland, where people love the school spirit, the school culture, tailgates, football games, the whole shebang. In Texas, especially, there's a lot of old sororities who have these mansion houses and everything like that. So it kind of does fit that stereotypical mold that you think about.
Wait, did you guys have the mansion house?
No, we didn't. We were an Asian sorority. We had no money.
Yeah, there was no funding
No,
for
because
that.
I figured Katie Fi is big.
Katie
Yeah.
Fi's
And
big,
you guys
but
have, I didn't
like,
know if you guys had any what's that?
Legacies.
What's that?
Funding,
Are you
like
thinking about-
alum
for
chapters, right?
Oh.
where they're just like, hey, here's a bunch of money, go get a mansion. And,
Well, now that I'm an alum myself, I don't want to be throwing money.
Yeah, we'll get you a house.
Yeah.
you know?
we're
We'll get
still
you-
practical Asians at the end of the day. So I mean, yeah, like there was a lot of house parties. Actually, a lot of house parties similar to the ones that you were describing. that you
like a lot
threw.
of house parties. Yeah.
Those were the more fun ones to go to.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were
It was
way
way
better.
more
But
than
there
club
was still
parties.
just the same amount of club parties as well
Yeah.
for fundraising.
In Austin, there's 6th Street, which is where all the college bars are, and it's super cheap. There's this one bar that did 25-cent wells on Sundays. Like, how do you make money from that? Then we found out they were part of a drug ring.
Oh my god!
So they were.
Oh no!
Damn.
So they were washing money.
Yeah, with the 25 cent. That makes sense though.
Yeah, but you could get. And then there was, $2 Jaeger bombs at this other club that we used to go to called Latitude. So you really only just go for the drinks. And when I first started dating my husband at that time, he came to visit me in Austin, and so we went out with our friends and everything. And he just put like $100 bill on the bar counter, and then it was like shots for everyone, right? And he loved it so much.
He bought out the bar with a Benji.
With a Benji. Meanwhile, in New York, it's like 4 drinks.
Yeah, you like go, and I remember, this is actually when I first met Vic. We were, I think, almost graduating or just graduated, and we went to Hero. Do you guys remember Hero?
Yeah.
And
on 23rd or 20 something.
Yeah, something like that. Mm-hmm. We went out for drinks, and I got us a round of, I think, like tequila shots, and that was $100 for 4 shots, and that felt so painful because I'm so used to how cheap drinks are in Texas, and that was such a different story here.
I wonder why. Why is that? Why is like drinks cheaper?
Cost of living.
I think it comes down to like the rent. Yeah.
And it's a major city versus a minor.
But like outside the partying and drinking though, I will say the at least for me, the joining an Asian interest sorority was like finding another part of my identity, because this is where Jen and I actually differ a little bit, because when I was growing up, my school was like 95% white. That was the actual statistic. And so I was friends with all white people really until I went to college. And so there was, and I definitely had a good time in high school and middle school. There wasn't like, I didn't feel like an outcast or anything like that. But when I went to college and seeing kind of this Asian interest group, it was like, it clicked. Like, you know what I mean? Like there is something to be said about hanging out with people that look like you, that have a kind of similar upbringing, that understand all the Asian jokes that we make,
Yeah.
Like there's so like diversity and inclusiveness, I strive to do that at work as well, and make sure we're achieving that, because I do believe that even if you don't feel undervalued or anything like that, there is still something else you can find about a part of yourself when you're seeing someone and hanging out with people that look like you. Yeah. And so for me, that was a big part of the college experience, was really in kind of embracing that Asian side, because I hadn't gotten a chance to do that in middle school and high school.
You just made me look like I was the party person.
Well, so I did want to.
And for anybody that knows me,
so when you had the trips to Texas, that's what happened.
Yeah, apparently. Sorry, John.
No, but I
realized we were digressing towards that track, and I just
no.
Let's shift gears.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. No, you were right. It is actually really funny that I am the person talking about the party, like, 'cause I did not really do that much party.
She's trying to take it back now.
No, you can ask any of my friends; they can corroborate. But it's funny because through this whole Katie Fi network, and in college, you only think so short term about the experience at that moment. You don't think about
that. Is so true,
right?
Oh my gosh,
you don't think about what's going to happen in your life 10 years from now with your sorority. And like, that's how Hong Mai and I are connected. Yeah. That's how Vic and I met. We started Welcome to Chinatown. Our core volunteers from the beginning were all from our Greek network. That is pretty incredible, because none of us would have imagined that this organization would exist today. And we, in a way, have to thank that experience and that network.
You both still talk to a lot of your sisters.
Yeah.
And you guys remain close.
Yeah.
I heard this saying, I'm not trying to be sexist or saying anything, but they're like, back when I was coming up, this girl said to me in college, when I was doing a fraternity, she goes, fraternities. I was like, you should think about doing sorority too. And then she's like, a group of girls getting along doesn't make sense to me. And I said, what? She goes, groups of girls, a large group of girls, and we all are sisters.
I mean, look, that's not to say that everyone had the same experience Jed and I had, right?
Yeah.
There are definitely people that probably tried it and realized it wasn't for them. I'm not close to every one of, like, realistically, you just can't be close to everybody, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But that being said, out of my bridesmaids, like 3 for KD5s out of the 6 I had, and so it just depends on each person's experience. But I think for the whole part, there's definitely no regrets, and I think it's nice because there's so many girls. If you actually look at the network of all KD5s and probably any other Asian sorority as well, you see people doing such cool things,
Yeah.
and you're almost kind of like inspired and being like, oh, like she has a similar like background as me and whatever, and she's doing all this cool stuff, and so you're almost kind of giving yourself more networks and more people to kind of inspire you. And so I think that's the kind of one of the beauties I got from it.
Yeah, and some of my best friends are girls I met through KD5, and we know that we are going to experience the rest of our lives together, side by side, and beyond the friendship too. I did also, I would say I learned a lot about just being a more confident speaker, like like applicable, practical skill sets that I used in my professional career, that I learned from KD5, because you do have to do these kind of like tasks that at that moment in time, fundraising, for example.
Oh God, no one likes fundraising.
Bane of our existence during that
worst.
I remember.
Right,
I remember
yeah.
those days.
No, I like making money, so I was.
We were actually-
you
I
were
was-
fundraising chick.
I was-
actually
I was
very
treasurer,
successful.
so,
Yeah, we
yeah.
broke records.
Really?
When I was president,
Wow. Humble too.
And-
I
and
can tell.
when I
Wow,
was
love it.
when I was
Give us the
treasurer,
facts, guys.
he was treasurer. When Norm was treasurer, my bad. When Norm was treasurer, we made
and you
some-
were president.
Yeah, we
There you
made-
go.
we made,
Wow.
people listening, if you don't know anything about Greek life, like, so when you enter Greek life, you do pay some dues by semester usually, and it could be like $100 a semester, whatever you give to the fraternity or whatever. I'm just throwing out a number. I don't know if it's actually $100 now, but let's say $100. So, and every active participant of the fraternity or sorority pays their dues. So we pay our dues. But I remember when I was joining, I was like, why am I paying the dues and I have to do more work and I'm getting nothing back?
Yeah.
I have to pay for this. I'm paying the. Like, did I join a fraternity just to give y'all money? I'm already broke. Like, I'm a broke college kid.
Yeah.
I'm taking out loans. And so when we were in there together where we could make some decisions, I said, that's not going to happen. Everybody, when we go on road trips, we're paying for the gas. We're paying for the hotel. Yeah. We're just going to find ways to make so much money that we can afford to do that. And by the end of the semester, even though we did a bunch of road trips, we threw a bunch of parties, we did a bunch of volunteer work and all that other stuff. We were very involved with the community too. Once we did it, we got so much visibility that we just ended up making tens of thousands of dollars.
Wow.
Y'all need to give seminars to
we
everyone
were-
else.
yeah,
I mean,
we found other means. We got really clever. We went against the grain and we're extremely successful. Extremely successful. And we stayed at we went to like casinos up in Canada, staying in
I don't know if you
these
should be sharing
nice
there's more to
hotels.
fraternities
Hey,
and
it's
sororities than
perfectly
partying, I
legal.
promise.
Well, it's legal, right? It's ninth age.
Yeah.
Years old
Yeah,
in Canada.
in Canada you have to be 19. So we just took some of that and we just went there just for fun. I gave every brother their dues back that went with
Wow.
us. And said, if you want to guys go gamble, go ahead. Hotels on us.
Yeah.
Okay, I was
Go ahead
not
and
that
do
good
it.
of a president, so I apologize to
So-
my chapter. If
No,
you're listening to
I had a
this.
good treasurer.
Oh, wow.
Well,
Good treasurer.
and a good president,
What
and
was your
with the
secret
vision.
sauce?
But
Yeah, what's the secret sauce?
there
to
is
that,
no
guys?
secret, because when I look at your organization, Welcome to Chinatown, it's very similar.
Yeah.
Like you're creating partnerships and you're creating these different avenues of revenue. That's the way we did it.
Yeah.
And you built a coalition of people with certain superpowers, and that's what we did. We identified people who had certain superpowers, and we put them out there.
We forged several partnerships.
That's great.
With clubs,
Yeah.
not even other Greek organizations. And we went outside the Asian community as well.
Yep.
And we formed alliances with them, and we supported their cause, what was important to them. And if we like what we heard, we said, yeah, we'll be there. We'll
great.
support it. You'll see Asian faces.
That's great.
Yeah, we wanted that. Well, when we talked about how we're going to change, I was like, I know we're Asian interest fraternity, and I'm interested in letting them see our faces. So let's
Like not
find
just being in like a side corner or something.
right,
Yeah.
right. Because what they see is they see us, wearing this or that, looking like a rich Asian, or doing this,
Yeah.
or having these import cars, or German
What
cars or
have you.
whatever. So they have these, they look at us from a distance and they don't really understand what we're about.
You raise a really good point though, because let's take this to 2020 and a year where there has been not even, you can't even just isolate it to this year, but like more specifically wanting to speak about the Black community and how Asian Americans have really used their voices to stand in solidarity for the Black community. That I think has been something very powerful to see as an Asian American, to see how many people have stepped up to be vocal, to not be complicit, to address really hard topics with our parents about race.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
challenging. I've heard of so many people having
Yeah.
uncomfortable conversations
Yeah.
with their parents.
Yeah. But it sounds like that experience you had with your fraternity and going outside the Asian interest part is how you bring more visibility to not just your experiences and your own lived experiences, but the experiences of others too, and learning from each other on that. And I think that's a really, really incredible thing. Good job. You're doing this.
And you know what?
You were ahead of the curve,
Yeah.
man.
It was a lot of fun, and then from there we expanded. We looked at other schools, neighboring schools, and we're like, so I reached out to them and said, hey, let's get together. We're gonna head down to your school. You want to link up? And they were like, yeah. So
Are you guys active alumni?
no, I'm way.
Are we?
It's
No.
this is
I wasn't saying we
this
were.
is a young person's game.
Yeah.
They come to us for money.
Yeah.
That's very true.
They don't want our ideas. They don't want our ideas. They want our money.
It's weird though,
So.
because
God, we're old guys.
I served on national board for KDFI after college, and Vic did too, actually. And our biggest problem was, how do we keep alumni engaged or involved? And it was a struggle. And now that I have,
Are more removed.
yeah. But KDFI is still very much part of my life, intentionally, unintentionally, just because of the circle that was built. And to me, I feel like that's successful as an alumni experience, because I built my networking community through that network. So
What was the pledging like?
pledging,
Was it hard?
it was like a full-time job in addition to being a student. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was hard.
On a scale like 1 to 5, 5 being the hardest.
I would give it a. So I pledged twice.
Yeah.
Oh,
She was really
okay.
committed, guys. She was really committed. By the way.
I'm so embarrassed.
Did you realize that we were going to be talking about this? No. When you woke
Did
up
not
this
mentally
morning?
prepare myself
From your
for it
hang
this
I didn't
morning.
even know you guys were part of a sorority.
Right.
Yeah.
It's-
No, my class, the first time I pledged, my class dropped, and so they didn't want
Couldn't
cross
cross
me as
class
like
of
a
one.
one-person
Right.
class.
Makes sense.
So I pledged again the second, the semester following. For me, it was like a 4.2 the first time, and then like a 4 the second, because I'd already done it.
That's
But
pretty accurate.
it only went
4.2.
down 0.2, guys. It only went down 0.2 though. That's what you need to take from this. That she knew what was happening, and she still thought it was a 4. You know what I mean?
Well, no, because you're working with an entirely different group of girls,
fair.
so you have different.
That is
different
true. It
challenges.
depends who's pledging
Yeah,
you.
and
Yeah.
I was the
Yeah.
oldest in my class too, so I was a junior by the time I crossed, and so a lot of my class were
Younger.
young,
Yeah.
freshmen, sophomores. I was past the partying like stage of my freshman sophomore years, and so I
You got
just
it out
wanted
your
to.
system.
Yeah, I just like wanted to get it done, right?
Yeah.
And
Well, and disclaimer though, the process probably may have changed since when we were.
yes,
Yes,
It definitely probably
that's
has.
that's the disclaimer right
It
now before we get
absolutely
yelled
has.
at. If anyone on NAPboard is reading this right now.
No, it definitely has. And I was part of that team that helped to implement those changes, because we did need to make sure that our members are safe,
Right.
that,
Some reform going on.
that the experience is haze free,
Right.
because things really did get out of hand at
Oh,
some
yeah.
point. Like
Oh, yeah.
not even that long ago, I think there's,
Yeah.
unfortunate deaths out
Right.
of pledging and hazing.
Where someone got either I think from drinking or physical hazing, where they
The one that I'm thinking of was physical hazing. And that's just it's not worth it. Right.
Yeah.
So that's why for us too, we had to ensure that the changes we were making didn't
That
even
happened
allow.
here in the city, right?
Yeah, I think it happened here in the
All right,
city.
so we're talking about the same
Yeah,
one.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
Where you can't even come close to having a scenario like that because it's just
No, you
not
can't.
worth
Worth
it.
Can't.
Yeah.
Because you want to be able to proudly say you're a part of this
Yeah.
organization
Yep.
instead of, oh snap, like I
Trying to
don't want to
defend,
put my
yeah.
name on this and be associated with that
Yep.
time, even though it could be generations apart. You still wouldn't want to associate yourself with something that negative.
Yeah.
You know, it's damaging.
Something that you contributed to pretty much or experienced
Yeah.
yourself. So.
I mean, we made a lot of reform.
I think,
When-
I think
as
that
well.
incident that we're talking about did make all the organizations
Yeah.
kind of
Yep.
take a step back
Yeah.
and reevaluate everything. So I'm glad that happened.
Even before that happened, it didn't take that for
Not the
for
incident,
me.
but-
I said, "What tradition?" I was like, "Well, this is whack." I was like, "No." I said, "I'm going to change it."
Because you guys were
literally took it out.
relatively. When
We're
were
young.
you guys? Yeah.
We're
when
young.
were you
I
guys
think
chartered?
94
Oh, okay.
was it?
Yeah, 94.
That's
I
not,
think
I mean, we were
90. Why do I
90, so-
remember that? Holy crap!
Forever ingrained in
Forever
your
I
brain.
know,
ingrained.
right? Yeah.
I
You guys
still know. I still know our sorority songs. Fool.
Yeah.
All right, I
And
need
dances.
to stop. I need to stop talking about this because this is just embarrassing. And also for
weird.
my class that may eventually listen to this and be like, "This is classic
Jennifer.
Well, you guys aren't saying anything that's giving anything away.
No. Just in
I
terms
would,
of the
you know.
enthusiasm for it, because they always like kind of poke fun at me as being the one that was that it freely speaks about how proud I was of that experience.
Go for it.
It's
Go
not.
for
It's
it.
not
No
cool
one's
to be
judging.
this
We
proud,
get it.
Jen.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah.
I'm kidding.
No, but
Complete
it
kidding.
really did change my life in a very positive way because of
That's beautiful.
the friendships. I met my husband through the
Yeah.
Greek network, and yeah, and so I had absolutely no regrets. But you know, the concept of Greek fraternal life has ways to go to change. It is interesting because seeing it from the outside now, not being super active in the organization, you see that they're also making a lot of changes to make sure that it's inclusive for all members.
Right. Even with us, we have a. We're an Asian interest fraternity, but we have so many people that aren't Asian.
Yeah.
Very
They're
diverse.
A
Yeah.
very diverse group, and we're so close to them.
Yeah.
It's
And we
crazy.
always say we're not inclusive or Asian interest, not
Yeah,
Asian.
not Asian exclusive.
Yes, thank you.
Right.
Yeah.
That was the phrase.
So how was pledging for you? Was it like what 2?
2. It was a 2. No, it wasn't. No, it was a 4.
Was it a 4.2?
It was a 4, but not a
Was it a
4.2.
4.25?
I'm not sure where the 0.2 came from, but no, I would. I
You
would
should
say this
appreciate
morning-
that. You're an accountant.
Oh no, mad
Fractions.
respect. Mad respect. I'm just curious as to.
Why?
But yeah, I also I like to understand stuff, so you'll have to tell me offline. But,
Okay.
no, I mean it was hard. I mean it was really like balancing at least like 2 more courses, I would say.
Yeah.
And then I was one of the few that managed to do it and keep my GPA up, and not to humble brag or anything. But then after that, they kept using me as like look, you can pledge and still have a 4.0. Like,
Here
and
is
yeah,
the-
you
here's
know
the
what I mean?
standard. You have to
get
keep.
one,
It's the same
exactly.
everywhere.
Yeah,
It's the
and-
same everywhere.
And there's one golden child, and they had to put me there. So then I was like, keeping my head down the entire
Meanwhile,
time.
everyone else got like borderline about to get kicked out of
Yeah,
school.
it did not do. I will say, on average, most people's GPAs do drop though. So.
Mine dropped.
Yeah.
I was under a 1.0 my first.
Wow.
When I pledged, I was under a 1.0. It was taxing.
Yeah.
It was taxing.
Well, I was a junior when I pledged, so I was doing an average. So I did well in my first, couple years.
years.
Uh-huh.
And then I knew that, okay, I can let this
You
one
have
go.
room. You have room.
I
to
can let this
fail.
one go. Because I was trying really hard to keep it up, but obviously it is
Yeah.
like a full-time, part-time job.
Yeah.
So I had to, but I knew, dollar
room.
average cost, dollar cost averaging. Is that how do you?
Ask this one.
Sure.
Okay. Well, I knew that if I, average wise,
Yeah.
I was going to keep myself up. So
Right.
So you did that way.
I did the math.
Very, very solid. But no, I mean, I'm trying to think of also. We had a class of 8, and so
Oh, wow.
that there's a bit of a diversity there as well. So just making sure everyone's schedules linked up. That part was hard, making sure everyone was contributing and no one was slacking off.
See, I think with a larger class, it's easier. And here's why.
All right, I was gonna say, let me.
Here's why. Because you could slack off. As long as you're not the weakest link, you could slack off a little bit. For example, if let's just say I had to do push-ups.
For example,
Hypothetically.
hypotheticals is all being used.
Right?
Sure.
So let's say I had to do push-ups, and I'm Norm, and we've like I don't know what 6 other guys, and let's say Norm and I are crushing it, but we're not the strongest ones, and the other ones are just terrible. They're gonna focus on the terrible guys. So we get to kind of cheat when they're not looking and just kind of chill. When they look back, we're like, oh yeah.
I see.
Crushing it.
But and here's the other side. If you have a class of 8, and let's just say hypothetically, you just had to keep being around there until everyone got it right. You have that means you have 8 people getting stuff
That's
all
right.
right.
Time
That's right.
wasted.
Yeah.
That's
So
right.
you've got longer.
You're only as strong as your weakest link.
Exactly. And so with 8, hypothetically, you could be out until like 6, 7 a.m. and then, so
Purely hypothetical.
Hypothetically, yeah.
So there are
Because we
there are
never saw the
disadvantages.
sunrise.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
You know what though, for real? There was this one time. There was this one time at work where I was doing a coverage report for like this product launch that we had, but the product launch was in China, so I had to do my hours at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. to work. No lie,
Are
like
you
the
kidding?
resilience. Yeah, the type of the stuff that we did at KD5, I was like, this coverage report is like a walk in the park for me.
Been there, done it.
Yeah, because I'm used to doing
You're used to
things
staying up.
at weird hours and like pressure testing myself, and so you build like that thick skin, resilience, and all that good stuff. So it was priming us so that everything else following would be like a walk in the park.
Hey, that explains why you both have a full-time job and you can still balance your personal lives with that in addition to Welcome to Chinatown.
Maybe, yes.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, our husbands may hate us, but yeah, sure.
Don't they help out too?
There may be some neglect there, but sure.
they provide moral and emotional support.
Do they
Yeah.
play video games?
We,
Are
they,
into, like,
they,
PS-
they do.
They only play video.
It's almost
You're
like
fine. You're fine.
Yeah.
As long as they got their PlayStations and their Xboxes.
and they play with
there.
each other.
Yeah.
They play
Yeah.
StarCraft together.
Luckily,
they play
they're
Civ
close.
Okay.
together.
Okay, so they're good.
Yeah,
They're good.
they're-
they got.
They're
They're
very
good.
they're the best friends of the brothers.
Yeah.
Best friend brothers.
But you bring up a really good point about self-care and how important that is, because we do feel burnout. We do ask ourselves, like, how much is too much? Like, let's take a second to reevaluate how much we're taking on and things like that. Because the work that we do is also very emotional work, right?
All right.
Yeah.
And
Right.
you have to be kind to yourself too, and continue to put yourself first, even though your interest is in wanting to serve others. So I think that's a very important thing to remember for anybody who wants to do work like this. Any passion project really is making sure that you are making time for yourself, whatever way that looks like. Yeah.
I think that's valuable advice and very real. I think a lot of the times we can romanticize something and not,
Yeah.
we tend to forget about all the difficult tasks or the time that needs to be allocated
Yes.
to it.
Yeah.
And until we actually do it, and then we're like, oh man, maybe I bit off more than I can chew.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think we felt that way for a lot of the initiatives, and this kind of like snowballed.
Yeah.
But it's definitely the balancing act is very difficult right now. with
Yeah.
all the
And I'm sure having a great team helps,
It
No,
does.
for sure.
right? I mean,
100%.
you're not doing all the heavy lifting. You have
No.
some people to spot you.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it helps that we are all friends. Like that generally helps.
Yeah.
The fact that we all like spending this much time together.
Yeah.
Like
Do you guys get a chance to get together during this time? Like any team outings or anything?
with the volunteers.
Yeah.
Not
the
so
the
much.
last time we met with like a few of them was when we were packaging a food for the Greens for Goods initiative. So we were like literally in basement putting together vegetable bags for the elderly
Yeah.
homes.
That was team building.
That was a
Yeah.
team building exercise.
Basement was so kind to lend their space
Yes.
to us.
Thank you, Basement.
Going back to, we were talking about ERGs. There was an ERG lead at Anheuser-Busch who was just really like blown away with the work that we were doing, and they were kind to donate, a couple cases of beers to our team, just as like a thank you. And so at that point in time, it was, we tried to make sure that we were doing it in a safe manner and things like that. And it has been hard of wanting to build that type of community with our volunteer base because of COVID and, you know, just group gatherings and things like that. So we've been trying to find creative ways to keep everybody engaged, and, you know, because passion will take you very far, right? But it also requires a lot of hard work. And so it does result in things where you just need to take a break. And so we try to find moments for our team where we can enjoy each other's company and have a good time, and acknowledge the hard work that we do. We all, between myself, Vic, Hung Mai, we are all within like a 5-10 minute distance of each other. So we have been each other's quarantine.
Like walking radius?
Yeah,
Vic and Jen are
about 10 minutes. We live about 10 minutes walking distance.
Luckily, I have a car, so I'm always in Chinatown.
Yeah, she's just
Brooklyn.
across the bridge from
That's
us, and
awesome.
then with our other friend JoJo, and you know, we have our quarantine with each other.
Especially during COVID, so many people are alone and they don't have that. You know,
We feel very fortunate in that sense. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Very lucky
beautiful
there.
thing to have. I just have him.
We have your family, brother.
Oh yeah, I was also gonna mention that. But
You have your wife and kids, you know. So
I am blessed. I am
Yeah.
fortunate.
Yeah. Isn't it interesting though? Like the in these last few months, the things that you recognize are so paramount to your life.
Yeah.
See, the thing is, I've always knew it. I just couldn't control it. I had these were things I could not control. I wanted to spend more time with my kids, but I need to keep her and my wife and my family. I just knew there was something wrong with us when I'm seeing them in the morning and we're rushing everyone out.
Yeah.
And then at the evening, I'm trying to get everyone ready for bed, and we're just having dinner together, and we're just trying to, and my mind's not even present. I'm thinking about what I have to prepare mentally, what I need for the next day, because I got a large task to tackle usually. So I have so that was really tough. And I knew it in my heart. I was like, man, I want to spend more. And that's why I was thinking about going to Texas, because I was like, man, maybe I need to slow down. You know, because I only get to be a father once and get to see my kids in this, or hopefully, you know, at this age once. I don't want to do it again, you know, when I'm old and stuff. I want to chill, you know, but.
Them take care of you.
Nah, they're good. Yeah, that's not on their shoulders.
Hey, you're lucky you got daughters though, because this is a conversation we've had a couple times where now, you know, I actually thought I would want boys, but I'm team girl because
I'm thinking I'm team girl too.
Right?
Yeah.
You want to be a girl dad?
Yeah.
They're just more compassionate.
Yeah, more
And
compassionate. They come back to the family and they support.
They'll take
Yes.
care of,
You know.
things, and I'm all team girl now.
Sorry, we digressed there a little bit. But we just wanted to put our team girls out there. Yeah.
Being a girl dad is amazing. It's incredible.
I love that term now, by the way.
Yeah, I love
Girl
it.
dad?
I love it.
Yeah.
Is that a new term?
I think it became
Not familiar with
popularized from like after Kobe Bryant passed away.
Yeah, and he was there was that interview where he kept saying that he like being a girl dad was like the best thing, and so that interview got publicized a lot this year.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is. It is. It really is the best thing. I mean, you see me with my girls and my relationship with them, and like I said, I bring them everywhere. I love hanging out with them. They're my number 1, 2, 3 choice, and because of COVID, it brought us closer because we're forced to work from home, and my responsibilities got reduced, and it was just great that I got to spend so much more time with them. And this is everything I wanted. So it is in terms of just being more with my girls. That's why I'm like, I don't have to move now, because I have this here. I get to spend time with them and my wife.
Yeah.
And I get to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner with you guys. Oh, that's pretty awesome. You know, and to some of my friends were like, Will, are you crazy, man? Like, but I don't know. For me, it's just the way, I guess their personalities is just, I'm lucky because it gels with mine. They don't annoy me. My kids, my wife, I enjoy their company a lot.
That's great to hear.
Yeah, it's kind of corny, but
No, it's lovely.
it's
Makes you feel
I love
loved.
it.
Beautiful.
I love it.
Yeah, I think it's cool to see how everyone's kind of dealing with this. There's like different ends of the spectrum as well, right?
There's things that are like made me go, it's not all sunshine and rainbows.
I think the commute, the time that I save on commuting.
I don't miss commuting. Yeah.
I'm like, if this thing blows over, I wouldn't. If I had a choice, my company says like you can because right now you can actually they're seeing this as very possible to work remotely, and at a high level too. So if they gave me a choice, I definitely do not want to commute. I live in Brooklyn, but I wouldn't care. I wouldn't.
Where do you commute to normally? Is it Bensonhurst to?
No, Bensonhurst. Yeah, Bensonhurst to the west side.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Yeah, that's rough.
a long commute.
That's a hike.
It's not even direct. I have to like
Yeah,
switch
that's a
off
hike.
and stuff.
Oh,
So.
that's
Well, for me and most people I've talked to in my company, like even though the commute is gone, which is like you get an hour, 2 hours of your life back, I haven't been able to log offline. Like I log on at 8 a.m. I'm on until like 8 p.m. Like everyone expects you to be on because you can't say
Yeah,
I have to
that's
log
true.
off now because I have to go home for work. I have to go home. You don't get that break anymore.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people are just getting fatigued just for being on Zoom calls all the time.
So you're actually tracked? Like they actually know when you log on and
I mean,
8 a.m.
but you have
I
no
think they can
excuse.
see when you're
Well,
sleeping.
yeah, when you're on, but it's also like, what other excuse do you have? You can't say you have to leave early because your daughter's going to a recital. There's no recital happening,
Right.
and so everyone's just constantly expected to be on. And so now to make up for all the meetings that I would have had in person, I have so many like 30-minute Zoom or Teams calls on, and my calendars are just like packed all day now. And so for that part of corporate life, that has been kind of like tiring, and a lot of people are hitting their like.
Are you a coffee
their
drinker?
limiter. I wasn't until like recently.
Wow.
Yeah, I actually try not to. I like the taste of coffee, so I'll drink decaf, and it's like my morning routine. But I've never actually needed coffee. But I'm finding that like I now have like probably a cup or two.
Careful.
I know it's a
careful.
slippery
I
slope.
went backwards. So after 5 years of having at least 2 or 3 cups a day, this is the 3rd day
Oh.
that I quit.
You made a change.
Oh.
You're off coffee now.
Off.
Wow, how are you
100%
feeling?
Cold
Wow.
turkey.
I'm
Terrible.
Terrible.
Well, great that I'm with you guys.
Thank you.
And
Appreciate that.
I'm not. That's not even a line. That's the truth. I was feeling like crap when I walked up here.
I thought it was the stairs. The stairs. I walked up those stairs. I was like, I need a minute.
Wait, no. When we were waiting for Norm earlier, we both took pictures of
The stairs, and we're like, this looks daunting. I really hope he's not up there.
This is right before we actually knew that Norm, you were in this building. It was so windy outside, so we just like popped in, and then we're like, dang, those stairs look steep. And then we see Norm at the top. We're like, oh.
And he's like, hey guys, and I was like, oh crap.
When we do the podcast, it's leg day.
And I was just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was the first workout I did. And
Well, I'm glad you're feeling energized though.
This is the day 3 and major headaches after the first 24 hours.
Oh gosh.
Major headache, and it's it's not like a normal headache that I get.
They're
It's like right
round
here.
right
Yeah, it's
there.
all
I
over
know
the
what you
place.
mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I never had this type of headache, and I'm super fatigued, and I'm a high energy person.
Yeah.
I'm just exhausted. But
What made you decide to quit or go cold turkey?
I'm weird, right? So I'm like, yo, I need a challenge in my life.
What? This was
Yeah,
it?
That's it.
That's
it's
it?
stupid.
I like it. Hey,
I'm just like, what's kind of
Always
hard,
improving.
but not like
But
you know,
not-
that's that I could trim the fat. Like where can I do a software upgrade? Kind of,
all right.
you know. So I'm like, quit coffee.
That's a good challenge.
And then I didn't know what were the benefits because I hear benefits of coffee,
Right.
but I never hear the benefits of quitting coffee. And I found out that I never paid attention to because coffee just became such a normal part of my morning routine.
Right.
Yep.
When I read this article, it said you got to think of coffee like energy on credit. Eventually, you're gonna have to pay the piper. I was like, "Oh snap! This is gonna hurt."
Oh man.
So I said, and then I looked at all the benefits that they said. Your collagen increases, so you'll look young. You'll
Really?
maintain your youth. Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't
Coffee
know,
does make you look older, doesn't it?
and I didn't know
Wrinkles.
that.
Oh, I didn't know that either.
Yeah, yeah.
think
yeah.
I mix collagen like powder,
Oh, yeah,
protein in my coffee.
You're like you're depleting it, but you're gonna put it back in.
I'm negating the
Yeah.
all this time. No wonder. Wow.
So dehydrates you. There's just so many factors. And I'm not knocking coffee because I love coffee. I was debating because I was like, I don't want to be rude if I'm like tired and I can't control it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm in front of you.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a great story.
You've been great.
You seem to be doing just fine.
Yeah, no, I
Swelling.
feel great.
Yeah.
I feel great. The headache went away as soon as I started engaging with you guys.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's your story. Just listening to you guys, I was really captivated, and I was just like,
thank you.
"This is incredible." That
Very
you ladies
inspiring.
yo, seriously,
Thanks,
what you
guys.
did, and it does restore faith in humanity, right? And you look for these gestures that people do, and you're like, what are you really doing it for? You know,
We're not getting paid, trust me.
The New York in me is like, you know, what do you really want?
Yeah.
You know, and to see this is just so refreshing,
Yeah.
and it's so beautiful. I mean, it makes me happy, and it energizes me. So, just super dope. Anyway, careful coffee.
Careful on the coffee
that's the
flow.
underlying thing.
Noted.
Careful. Yeah, stay on decaf if you can.
I try to do half decaf, half calf now. I don't know, but yeah, but this just the meeting is just nonstop meetings. It's like people are because in my job we normally do like group like meetings in person, or we go to the clients and we engage them like that. And since we can't do that anymore, you have to do these Zoom calls. And what people are finding out is that these video conferencing calls are so much more. They require so much more energy. Because you can't just zone out because you're on camera, right? You can't just be like fiddling your thumb or anything like you would in a normal meeting. You have to be fully present,
Right.
and that takes a lot out of you.
Yep.
It does.
So people are just finding that their days are now so much longer because they can't commute, and that they're getting more tired, and that they're just putting so much more energy into meetings, and they don't even know when they're doing work.
Yep.
And so,
Yeah.
anyways,
I want to get back to face-to-face.
yes.
Because I have lunch with them, we go
Yeah.
out,
Yep.
we hang out, we talk.
You can do small
and-
talk.
Exactly. And there's conversations that you can have in person that you can't have during a Zoom meeting.
Yep.
During Zoom meetings, it's all business for the most part, or it's elevator talk.
Yeah.
Weather, kids, family, da da da.
Yeah.
How you guys doing? Good. Boom. Done.
You don't have room.
Straight to business.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no room, and then you're out to the next call because you got this window.
Exactly.
But face to face, it's just so much. You get to feel that person's energy,
Yeah.
and engage in that way, and kind of you can just look at something and start talking about that, and it'll remind you like, oh, this, and then you're like, oh, you did that, and then you start finding things out about a person that you just, that conversation is very highly unlikely to come out in Zoom.
I think my experience is a little different because my client is in Maryland, in
Hey.
Bethesda.
Hey.
So Marriott. Oh shit.
No, you're fine. You're fine. That's their headquarters.
No,
It's
no. But the
fine.
thing is, like, even when I was in the office, I would still take calls, and it would be over the phone. So it wasn't like in person.
Got it.
I wasn't going out to meeting anyone.
Got it.
So it's, for me personally, it wasn't any different. It's
Right.
just that. Also, like I don't turn on my camera, so I'm not obligated to. It's
Oh, really?
It's suggested, but
Oh.
I'm not obligated.
It's
to do that.
taboo. If I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
I
not,
won't
but
say anything.
it's taboo, but I'm not the only one doing
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
So
yeah.
If
it's not
I'm the
like-
only one, so you must be on a big call then. It must, for
Yeah,
large calls,
usually. Yeah,
if it's
usually.
more than like 20, 30 people, then I'm
Then
like,
I'll turn
yeah,
off my camera.
I'll turn
Yeah.
off my camera.
yeah.
But if
most-
it's like less than
Small
10,
meeting.
I'm not going to be that one guy
Yeah.
that just says will. I'm just,
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah, I'm not going to be, unless like my kids are in the room doing stuff, then I'm like, you know what? Nah, my kids come first.
Yeah,
So,
that makes
you know,
sense.
and
But
I
it's
don't
like-
want to interrupt the meeting. You know, if my kids come in, Daddy. You
Aw.
know,
It's like those CNN interviews
Yes.
that.
That one guy where he was crawling in.
Yeah, that guy was like mean. Was it the same one? The one that was mean to his kids?
Oh, because he was like
Was he
pushing
mean?
them away a
yeah,
little bit.
he was. I would just be like, hold on. They've done that. My kids walked into a couple of my Zoom meetings with my team, and everybody was cool. They were like, oh,
I actually don't
yeah,
find
you
it
know.
distracting. I find it so endearing.
I found it so
Yeah,
endearing.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm like,
I
show me your
love
kid. I say hi. I'm always like,
I
hey.
love kind of seeing the other side
Yeah.
of
Yeah,
The home life.
people that you work with and
Yeah.
how they interact with their kids.
yeah,
So
Yeah, they're probably going through a lot of the same things you're going through, like
Yeah.
during this.
yeah. There's certain meetings that are high level discussions.
right.
Mm,
You
yeah.
can't have a kid come in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's when you're
Yeah.
having high level
Right.
discussions, you just
Yeah.
you can't have that.
Yeah.
But if I don't
Yeah.
turn, but if someone doesn't have their camera on, I can't read their face, and so I don't know. Like, are they listening to anything I'm saying, or is it just like going in one ear out the other?
Right.
You know, during Zoom calls, I try to just be as
Stoic as
Stoic.
possible.
yeah, without looking rude, without looking like an angry, like upset, like resting bitch face. Like, because I can't, I wouldn't even know because I'm just so like, yeah. And I'm listening to, and I'm
Yeah.
looking at my face like, oh snap, I look sleepy. Like, oh, I look like I'm trying too hard. Now I look fake. I'm like, oh no, now I look like I'm angry. I'm just like, how do I get this face to just be nice?
I
you
didn't
know,
realize
be friendly.
that. I guess I naturally furrow my brows, and it took working remotely.
same thing.
Yeah,
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
yeah.
It's been great having you. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having us.
you so much for having us. Yeah.
It was a
we'll-
pleasure.
This was
Yeah,
so
we'll be
fun.
following your journey.
Thank you.
You know, we'll have all your contacts down, and people can reach out and follow what you guys are doing and watch your growth and support it.
Thanks so much, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having
Thank you
us.
for coming on.
Let us know if you move to Texas. Maryland and Virginia
Yeah.
are also great options. I'm going to put it out there.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Forever going to try to push Maryland.
Is there state income tax?
Yes.
Oh.
Sorry.
All right,
You're right.
Texas
You're
it
right.
is.
Texas it is. I'm sorry.
And with that, yeehaw, goodbye.
Lucky boys out.
Thank you,
All right.
guys.